So you may have seen the headlines. Warren Buffett just boosted Berkshire Hathaway's cash pile to a record $347 billion. And naturally, people are asking, is he expecting something big? Is he pulling back from the market? We've had some of these same questions come up in client conversations, especially during market dips earlier this year. So today we're going to break down what this is all about and talk about what it actually means for people nearing or are already in retirement.
This is the Money Master Podcast.
As always, I'm here with Tori and Connie, and Connie's going to guide the conversation from here. Connie?
Great. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is a topic that has come up a lot in conversation.
It was a big headline.
Yes. So it struck a chord because when someone like Warren Buffett moves to that much cash, it definitely raises eyebrows and makes people think, what's happening? Is something going on that he's aware of that we don't know yet? Do we need to follow suit? All these questions start swirling in people's minds. So we're going to talk about it today and kind of break down what's behind the reasoning, right? And do we need to do the same?
Yeah, I mean, we've answered the question a few times. And before we go too far, we also should probably acknowledge and point out that the great Warren Buffett announced that he's going to be retiring at the end of 2025. And so that'll make 60 years. That's being at the helm. And then last year, the great Charlie Munger passed away at 99 years old. And both of these legends have really contributed to the way that millions of people think about investing.
Yeah.
So when he makes a move, people pay attention, right?
Absolutely.
That's part of what this is about. So
Yes. So the Buffett indicator is often cited as a measure of market valuation. So can you explain what that is and what is it telling us right now?
So the Buffett indicator compares the total market capitalization of the U.S. stocks to the U.S. GDP. And as of a few days ago, last time I looked at it was May 29th of 2025, that ratio was 196.85, which Buffett says anything that gets close to 200 is high. So at one time he had said this is probably one of the single best measures of where valuations stand at any given moment. So that being said, this Buffett indicator is not a short-term indicator, right? It's a long-term valuation tool. So you're not really trying to use this for market timing advice.
so you don't see high valuation and just say, okay, get out. That's not
That's the key.
what that's trying to do.
Right.
So that number doesn't mean that.
So it's not saying that, it's saying adjust your expectations, right? Because Buffett himself remains highly invested in equities.
So given that the Buffett indicator is so elevated, should especially retirees be worried and adjust their investments?
So Buffett's always talks against trying to time the market. In fact, I'm reading his book that just came out about Warren Buffett and Munger, and it's like notes from all of their shareholders meetings. And so you can get some really great stuff from that book. And at a 1999 shareholder meeting, he had said, we have no idea whether the market is going up today, next week, next month, or next year. So he's always talked about focusing on the things that you control, that you can control, not predict. Things that you can control are your allocation, your plan, and your behavior. And despite elevated valuations right now, Buffett wrote just this last year in his 2024 shareholder letter, the great majority of your money remains in equities. That preference won't change. So when people did ask, hey, this thing just happened to Buffett, should I make a change? Well, he addressed that because people were wondering, right?
Right. Well, and it makes me think of what we are always telling people is we're not going to react to headlines. So yes, Warren Buffett making this much move to cash was a headline, but we've also, you and I both have told people, you're not Warren Buffett. Your plan is not Warren Buffett's money management. Your plan is your plan with your goals built for you specifically.
And not only are you not trying to reach his particular goals, but he in himself is also has a majority of his money invested in equities.
Yeah. That headline was giving you a very small picture of what's actually happening.
So why is it still important for retirees to stay invested in equities?
Well, equities have the track record of hedging inflation better than anything, right? And retirees are facing multi decade time horizons. And so it would be unwise to try to time when it's good to be in equities and when it's not, right? Because you want to get those returns. You want to get
I
that
want to miss
growth
the
of inflation.
days that you
Right.
need to be in the market.
Dividends grow, they tend to grow, and bond yields do not, right? So over time, if you own companies, dividends tend to increase the companies are intending on increasing their dividends, and that really helps everybody.
And a quote from Buffett that we have written on here: our favorite holding period is forever, because you need the time, right? We just said you don't want to miss days in the market. You need time in the market. So trying to time when to get in, get out, valuation's high, let's move to cash. You're not doing that. You're not having that holding period in equities.
Right. This is a message that's opposite of the fear and doomsayers, right? You don't need to be fearful. I tell my kids, I tell our retirees, we want you to own these equities, and we want your kids and their kids' kids to eventually own those equities if they're still good. You still want to have the portfolio of equities like forever. Like that's the greatest legacy play ever. And instead of this thing of, oh, you're so close to retirement, you should be careful because you could lose up to half of your money. Your long-term capital is not at risk in long-term investments.
Right. In great US companies and great companies that we are owning. That's what we tell people. It's not gambling the market. We're not trying to do that. We are owning. We're shareholders in great
Right.
companies.
Right.
Hey there, this is a quick break to talk about how you pay yourself in retirement. People often ask about how much they're going to be able to spend each month from their savings when they're no longer working. You may have heard of the 4% rule, the bucket strategy, or nameless others, but none of them do a good job measuring your true spending capacity. That is, how much can you afford to spend each month confidently? I wrote a white paper you might want to read. It's about a guardrail system for retirement that can help you do better in retirement. And I think it's probably the best withdrawal strategy available. There's no cost to download and read it. If you want a copy, all you have to do is text the word income to our business line at 214-988-9178. That's it, just the word income, and send it to 214-988-9178, and we'll send that paper about guardrails straight to you.
Based on what I'm hearing from you guys so far, it's sounding like even though Buffett made this change, retirees and pre-retirees should not necessarily be making any drastic changes.
Because of what Buffett did.
Right.
And, another point is that when you own the greatest companies in the world, and a lot of those are represented in the S&P 500. And so these companies, they don't just weather the storms, they adjust their sales to take advantage of them, like to even come out not only surviving, but even taking advantage of them and thriving. And there's plenty of examples of that. So as we get older and we're not able to kind of keep up with things, these employees in these great companies, they're the smartest people in the world. Not every company in the S&P 500 is a great company, but it has a way of being of working itself out to get those lesser producing companies out. And
Because they're trying to make a profit for their company too, right?
Right.
Not just you as a shareholder. We just own part of that company.
exactly.
Yeah.
So they have a way of taking advantage of these down periods.
That's a really good point. Like, do you have examples of some of these companies?
So I'm going to run you through a couple of examples that I wrote down because I'm not smart enough to remember each of these off the cuff. Okay. Because I thought it would be a good time we tell our clients this all the time. Great companies, they're always innovating and they're working to solve problems while you're on the golf course, right? So what are some examples? Well, Apple, and they thrived during the 2008 crisis. So while the economy was going down, they launched the App Store, and it changed the device, the iPhone, into an entire platform for music, for money exchange. It became something completely different. They did it again. Apple did it again during the COVID era and then in tariffs. So they saw the US-China tensions and they started diversifying their supply chain by investing in Vietnam and India. Another example is Walmart. So they actually gained market share in recessions. So during both the 2008 recession and the 2020 pandemic, Walmart gained market share. Why? Because they leaned into what they do best: low prices, supply chain dominance, and customer convenience. So during COVID, they scaled up curbside pickup overnight while others were scrambling. Remember how fast they got that done, and then you've got Microsoft. So Microsoft used the quiet years after the 2008 crash, and they invested in cloud computing. And by the time that the COVID era hit, Azure and Teams, which is their software, were perfectly positioned, right? So the result was that they helped power remote work for millions, and they now dominate enterprise software. Procter and Gamble met the moment with the essentials that people need. So during COVID, P&G ramped up production on things like hygiene products and cleaning supplies, while others were facing shortages. So they moved fast, they kept shelves stocked, and they grew their customer trust at a time when it really mattered. So people are going to continue to buy toothpaste, deodorant, things like that during down periods. So to me, that's why it's like when the market goes down, these are still valuable companies with goods and services. So they're on sale. Even for a retiree who has increasing dividends happening, the market is still on sale during that time. One more example is JP Morgan Chase. So going into 2008, they were a strong company with a very solid balance sheet, but they came out in 2008 even stronger, and they bought up Bear Stearns and the Washington Mutual Company at bargain prices at that time, while others were still in survival mode and playing offense. So they not only went into it strong, but they came out even stronger at the end of that period. So there's a clear pattern here, right?
It's nice knowing that there's smarter people out there that are thinking of all these things and innovating, and we can still benefit from that.
While we're on the golf course, right?
Yeah.
While retirees are doing their life, there's people who are going to work to make profit. And we tell people that all the time. And like you said, Nick, the pattern is clear. Like, companies are built for adversity. Great companies are built for adversity. They're meant to weather those storms. And really, we tell people that too with their plans. If you're doing financial planning with us, we're building your plan with some adversity assumed.
Right.
We know that markets are going to draw down. We know that you're going to weather some volatile periods, and your plan is built for that.
Right. And that mindset that these companies have can help retirees to adopt this as well and not run from volatility.
All right. So practically speaking, right, because we talk about all this, but we need some practical steps for the average everyday person. What can we do to feel confident staying the course, even with the valuations high?
Check in with your plan. I mean, we tell people that, I've said it on podcasts over and over, I feel like, is check in with your plan once a year, check in at least, see what you need, if there's any adjustments that need to be made to your plan to make you feel more comfortable, if there's something you feel like you want to check in on.
Yeah, I mean, when valuations are high and you hear this doesn't mean that you get out of the market, right? It means you stay the course because your plan, when you think about your plan being 20, 30 years and you have a diversified portfolio, you're going to have some high valuations and you're going to have some low valuation periods, right? And you still want to have the courage to rebalance. You don't want to retreat, okay? You want to keep the right mix rather than reacting emotionally. And, time and time again, studies have shown diversified, low correlation portfolio, globally diversified,
Time in the market.
not timing the market, it would be unwise for us to think it would be anything other than smart for us to do that.
Very good. Well, just as a reminder, the Buffett indicator says valuations are high, but Buffett himself still owns stocks. He's not trying to time the market, and neither should we. The long-term investing isn't about predicting, it's about preparing. So thank you, Nick and Tori, for giving us some guidance today on that. And if you're listening today and you're wondering, maybe I need to have my plan reviewed, where do I begin? You can absolutely find us at brindleandbay.com. And if you've enjoyed this episode, leave us a comment, tell us what you've liked, and share it with a friend. Thanks.
Nick Davis is an investment advisor representative of Brindle Bay Financial Advisors, a registered investment advisor. This show is for informational purposes only. Any references to client experiences made may be deemed to be indirect testimonials. Clients were not compensated for providing any testimonial statements. Any references to client experiences are for illustrative purposes only. Actual client experiences will vary. Any exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed should not be considered financial advice or recommendation to buy or sell a financial vehicle. You should consult a qualified financial tax or legal professional before taking any action. This program is not endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency. Brindle Bay Wealth Management is affiliated with Brindle Bay Financial Advisors.